Okay, well, we will wait another minute as we let people, let other people in.
He's a good moderator.
He is a very good moderator. We are grateful for Scott tonight.
Really?
He is our he is our wonderful moderator here. Great.
Everybody's getting smaller and smaller.
That's right. That's good.
And we were worried we'd be talking to ourselves tonight.
That's right. We're grateful for people who have logged on. So as we begin this evening, thank you all for logging on to our Lakewood United Methodist Church State of the Church meeting. This is the first time that we have done something like this. So we are grateful. Scott is here with us, Pastor Laura and I, and Scott is here as our moderator, and he will be monitoring the chat for us this evening. So if you have any questions as the time goes on, or you have questions about something that we are talking about, we ask that you type your questions in the chat, and that is how we will answer them this evening. We won't answer in the chat. We will verbally answer, but that's how we will take questions from you this evening. Again, we appreciate your patience, as this is the first time we've done something like this, but we felt it was important to share with everyone what is happening within the life of our congregation, and to share things that have happened, as well as our financial status and our vision for the future and all of those things. So tonight, as we gather, these are the things that we will be discussing. I'm going to pull up a screen here that is...
Pastor Robin does that. So you're aware that the questions and answers will come at the end. So you may want to hold off on right away putting a question in there, because we may answer it.
Okay.
Before we get
to that. Yes. Again, we appreciate your patience, as this is the first time we've done this, but we're excited to share with you all in this way. And so tonight, the things that we are going to be sharing with you first will be how we have made an impact on our community in the last year. Then we're also going to share with you some updates on our church staff and some of the ministries that have happened and are currently happening. And then we're going to give you a snapshot of our current financial data and where we stand financially right now. And then we will share with you our vision for vital ministry in 2022 and beyond, including our vision for finances, as well as other ministries that we are excited to be seeing happening around here. And then at the end, we will answer any questions that you may have. So as we begin our time together this evening, let us pray. Oh, gracious and loving God, we thank you for Lakewood United Methodist Church, for this community of faith that has been present here in this city for well over 100 years, for all of the impact that has happened here through the faithful disciples of this church, and for the many ministries that happen here. We thank you for all who have gathered tonight, who show their interest in our church, who show their interest in their own discipleship, who show their interest in building your kingdom here. So be present to us in our time together, and be with each person who has logged on, that they might feel your presence with them in this meeting and in all that we do. We pray this in the name of your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about tonight is how we have impacted our community this year. And so Pastor Laura is going to share a few things about that. There we go.
All right. Lakewood UMC, we have, despite a worldwide pandemic, we have continued to be very active in reaching our community in different and new ways. And some of those ways will continue and some will go away and new ones will begin to emerge. But just to kind of celebrate where we've been, this is a state of the church. And if you think about, what the president usually does in the State of the Union, here we are, Robin.
That's right.
We're going to be talking, let's just celebrate some things that we've done. So last year around this time, we were beginning to set up the trees for the Trees of Hope. And we had them in the front lawn of the church. And that was a great ministry. And we brought lots of people together. And I know the quilting shop across the street just every day loved watching what would happen. And lots of attention was brought to our church through that great event. And as long as we can find Christmas trees this year, it'll be happening again. So we encourage individuals, groups, families within the church. I know the youth are already planning their tree, to sponsor a tree again, and just reach out to me if you'd like to do that. From that giving tree. So if you see that picture of that giving tree, that started something. People started taking from that giving tree, and we realized it needed to not stop when the trees went down. And so we put up a warming wall, and the youth helped with that. They came along, they helped set it up, and then myself and some youth and just different people in the community replenished it throughout, I think it was, Scott, like 2-3 months we had it up, and pretty much all winter. And so we plan to also do that again, and it'll be nice because now we have the new landscape with that nice little alcove area in there where this will be able to be celebrated this year. Community meals have continued to happen during this pandemic and beyond. It looks different. During the summer, the guests to the meal were able to eat outside in the tent, but now it's cold weather again. And so we're pretty much just doing all to-go meals. We have had courageous and wonderful volunteers who have not stopped showing up to prepare these meals. And we're grateful for that. And if that's a ministry you've never been able to be a part of, reach out to the office staff and we can connect you with those who lead those ministries. But that is continuing to go throughout the fourth Tuesday and the second Saturday of the month. And we're still continuing to do takeout for that. We've continued to find ways to interact with small groups. There's been Bible studies, and Pastor Robin, you've experienced your Zoom Bible study.
We have. In fact, many of them are on here tonight since we did it on the Monday night and Tuesday morning format.
So we're continuing that, and there'll be a Christmas Advent study coming up in a few weeks here.
Yeah. If you haven't registered for that yet, please let me know.
We're running out of books.
Well, that's okay. We're going to order more.
That's right. We can always order more things. Prayer groups, Lenten studies, and it's been exciting to see a lot of the adult Sunday school classes coming back together, and some of them beginning to meet in the building again on Sunday. So we've been having fun, right?
We have. We had a lot of fun at Vacation Bible School too.
So you see the pictures of Vacation Bible School, in which Jesus's power helps us to be bold in our ministry and witness for Jesus Christ. It was a different Bible school this year with more just our kids in our church, because we were just trying to be concerned with COVID, how far to expand that. But Shannon Lubis and our children's ministry program did an amazing job. And I think the children in our church benefited from some strong bonds.
Yes,
formed.
Having less children in the building that were mostly our church kids.
Yeah.
They really had a good time connecting with one another.
And it was
reconnecting after being
reconnecting,
gone.
because most of them hadn't been around each other. And it was great for you because you really got to know the kids.
I got to know the church kids versus 100 community kids. So it was good.
So, and we've continued with COVID-friendly youth and children's ministries. There's always fun to be had. And I just have to laugh when I see
the pictures of these kids.
And as always, we thank the volunteers of this church who make those things possible. Choir Zooms and special music. Really, we have to thank Julie Stunek for just her gifts that she brings to our staff. and this entire church. And here's one of the many things, which hopefully we're not going to have to see these too much more, because the choir is going to be starting to gather more.
The choir will be starting rehearsals in December.
Yeah.
Back in the music room.
Right. But Julie found a way for that group, that small group, that's the choir, to continue to meet. And they had fun with their music ministry during, as much fun as they could have.
Possibly have, right.
Let's see, what else we have to highlight. We have had some major projects happening in the church during this not downtime, but this different time. The frontscape, the landscape and the hardscape, there's just a few things left for the hardscape. The caps have to be put on, and that inner alcove area needs to still have the steps modified and stuff. But for the most part, that project's pretty much concluded. It's just like anything else in the world right now. There are shipping delays, manufacturing delays, all sorts of delays to get in the proper stone. But there also will be an etched stone in the middle of that alcove area that will have the serenity prayer. So all those who walk onto our church property will see that serenity prayer. So the trustees have been busy with that. They've also been busy with a new security system and new doors for the church, which has been huge to have that. So just secure our building and not worrying about those old wooden doors getting stuck and people being able to get in when the building's closed.
Right.
We've also, for those of you, especially those of you who watch at home regularly, there's been upgrades to the technology in the sanctuary with our media and video operations. We have new cameras installed. So when people do come into worship, there's not a camera rolling around in front of them. So, and we have to really thank Scott and Palmer and Carson Collins and Alicia, when she steps up. We just have some great volunteers that make that happen on Sunday mornings. And just church, your ongoing commitment and care for one another. Just the way, especially now that we've been having more and more gather and worship, especially because the children, it's been great, right?
It has
these past few weeks, because we've had so many children gathering because of the practice for their Christmas pageant. But it's just been great to see everybody reconnecting.
Yes.
So
it has been.
And I forgot one item.
What is that?
We have also, much thanks to Barb Morrison, in her efforts, we are pretty much reaching our goal. Right, Barb? I'm looking at you for the Africa University dorm for the Teach, Reach, Bless. So I think we're going to surpass our goal of $20,000 for being able. So Lakewood United Methodist Church, Barb, there's a meeting tomorrow. We'll be learning some of the final details, but it looks like they'll be able to break ground this spring on this new women's dormitory. So we are grateful for that. And there will be a room there for a student because of this congregation. So thank you.
We are very excited about that.
Yes. Okay, I said enough.
That's okay. So Pastor Laura has shared about the ministries that have happened despite the pandemic. We have also had some changes or some updates in our staffing that we are very excited about. We are grateful to Kim and Beth, our custodians, who kept this place running during the pandemic, kept things clean, sanitized, and such, all the while we were looking for an additional custodian. And we are so very grateful that God placed in our laps Mike Ponton, who is our additional custodian now, who started in September. And he is also taking on some maintenance tasks. So in addition to doing the custodial duties, he is able to do some light maintenance for us, which is a wonderful thing. It's providing some cost savings to us rather than having some contractors come in for some of those maintenance things. Mm-hmm. Mike is able to do those for us in a much quicker fashion, and much more cost-effective fashion as well. So we are glad to have Mike on board. You will see him around the building, and his wonderful, gracious he just loves to be here. And so he's a wonderful addition to Kim and Beth, who always show great hospitality to everybody who enters our building. We also are grateful that we now have Peggy Pennington as our youth ministries coordinator. Peggy certainly is not new to serving the youth of our congregation. She has volunteered in in that role for many years and assisted others who were in that role as paid staff. But we're excited now that Peggy is on board as a paid staff member. And she's getting some of the programs back up and running now, and we'll really move forward with that in the new year. So look for more youth activities, more youth involvement in the ministries of our church, and we're really excited about that. And speaking of youth, Pastor Laura.
Yeah, so yesterday we had our first official confirmation class.
Yes.
And we have 15 students signed up for that, and 13 are boys. So we have 2 girls and 13 boys in our confirmation class this year. And it is such a joy. And Pastor Robin and I are going to be working together to teach that class. And we have mentors. Some of you who have agreed to be mentors are here as well.
Right.
And this is going to be a great year for these youth. And meanwhile, I just have to say, while we were doing the confirmation class down here, we could hear the other youth all upstairs.
So Peggy's Sunday school class of youth who are not in confirmation were upstairs. And
so we probably had 25 youth here yesterday following worship in one way or another, engaged in the life of the church, which was amazing to see.
Yes, it was very exciting for us to do that. So we are excited about the ministries that are happening here in this building and beyond. So I'd like to share with you now a snapshot, if you will, of our financial picture. And as with anything that would be a snapshot, it doesn't give you every detail. It's just kind of give you an overview of what's happening. So to tell you, our year-to-date income is $414,261. And you can see how that has been in this chart that we have on the screen right now. You can see how that comes out. 175,000 of that has come from our offerings. The bulk of it, you will see, has come from our memorial funds and endowments. And we also have some rental income that comes in, and other outside sources and some fundraisers. This year, we've not been able to have the fundraisers that we typically have just because of COVID restrictions.
And our rental went down as well.
Our rental, of course, would have gone down because we have groups that use the building and do give a small donation for the use of the building. So that would have gone down as well. So that just kind of gives you an overview of where the money in the church comes from. This next slide tells you how we invest our money within the life of our congregation. And you know that our church's mission is to know God, to love God, and to serve God. And so we have broken this down in the way that we invest our money. First, in knowing God. That is the most important piece, really, is for people to enter into a relationship with Jesus Christ. And those things happen through small group ministry, through adult youth Bible studies, Vacation Bible School, Children's Church, and that type of thing. And so 13% of our budget, education and children, it goes toward knowing God. And this year, we'll see an increase in that with the hiring of Peggy for next year. So I'm grateful to see an increase in our emphasis on people knowing God and developing a relationship with God. The second component of our mission is loving God, and that's primarily our worship, where people gather together and feel a sense of authentic community. So where we also express our love and our praise for God. And so this area of our ministry supports our music staff. A percentage of Pastor Laura's and my salary is, of course, included in that. That's an important part of the work that we do. It includes other supplies for making worship happen, communion elements, candles, all those kinds of things. So 21% of our budget is geared toward loving God, worship, music, and that type of thing. The third component of our mission statement is serving God. And we know that that's an important part of our faith, for us to serve people in acts of justice, kindness, mercy in our world. And so we've heard tonight about how we share a community meal that's included in our serving God portion. Our building gets used for a variety of outside groups that minister to people through like AA and OA and Al-Anon groups and that type of thing. We collaborate with Trials for Hope and others. But this area of our mission allows us to provide local as well as global ministries. It includes our shared ministry that we pay through our connectional system, also known as our apportionments. So $76,000 is our fair share that goes toward our apportionments. And so we are grateful that we have designated from some of our investments that go toward that, so that we can pay 100% of our fair share on that. And then the last section, which you'll see, it's 44% goes toward administration, but that really includes the way we keep up our building. Our building is utilized now that we're opening back up a little bit more too. Our building is utilized by a variety of groups in our community, and we're grateful to be able to have this space to offer to others. Our trustees have done an amazing job of maintaining this building. It's over 100 years old.
And it's huge.
And it is large. But we have served and utilized and been good stewards of this space for the people of our church and the people of our community. In addition to 2 parsonages that we have, we maintain our parking lots, all of those things, lawn care, snow removal, all of that, plus our custodial staff. This administrative part also includes our office staff who keep things running smoothly and efficiently around here, office supplies and all of that. So that is how the money that comes in to our church is used, and how we invest it for the building of God's kingdom. So one area that has been a concern for me, if I'm being honest, since I arrived here in July and began looking at the church's ministries and finances, there's so many wonderful things that are happening here. But one area that concerns me is being able to sustain all of the great things that are happening here. And when I looked at the church budget and the monies that are come in through our income, it worried me, I will admit, that 57.5% of our income comes from sources that are other than giving. So that comes from our investments, from our rental properties and fundraisers, and that only 42%, 42.5%, we have to add that half in there.
Sally will make sure we did.
Make sure we add that. That 42.5% comes from our giving. And, ideally, we would like to see that portion of our budget grow, that we rely less on our investments. We're grateful that right now the market, things are going well. We're grateful for people like Bill Daniels that Pastor Laura talked about yesterday in worship, who had the foresight
but what would he provide.
Tell us? But what would he tell us? He would tell us that we need to be doing more, probably.
He was very big about discipleship and making sure the disciples knew what they were supposed to do.
Right. And so I guess I would say that as we look toward the future, one of my goals, and Pastor Laura's too, is to see that giving increase. Ideally, in 2022, I'd love it to be a 50-50, that 50% of the budget come from giving, 50% come from other income. But I will celebrate if it increases.
Knowing the climate of the world right now.
Especially, given the effects of COVID and everyone else's personal budgets,
as well as inflation
and all of those things, of course. But I just wanted to share that is one area of concern of mine that I think as a church that we need to look at. The church has been very good stewards of the resources they are given. We spend the money that is given to us wisely, but it would be helpful if it were more equal in the giving versus our investments and other income. One last thing that I would like to show you as we talk about that is a graph that shows the number of giving households in our congregation. And you will notice that in the chart, we have more people on the left side of the chart, or more households on the left side of the chart that give $1,000 or less. And there's less people that give more than that. And this is not to tell you that, absolutely you must give more or those kinds of things. It's a way of showing you where people fall on this, and as a way of transparency for us to see that the number of people that are on the higher end of giving is less. And we know that as some of the older members of our congregation move into retirement, move into nursing facilities where they may not have their money might be utilized in those ways. And as people die, we know that our giving could decrease. And so this is a challenge to some younger folks in particular to just take a look at that and see, well, maybe I give less than $100 a year. Maybe I could give $100 a year to the church. We recognize that it's hard to be able to do that, but to maybe step up or move into the next category. But we wanted people to be aware of all of those things. So
I think it's important that we recognize that giving is a part of our discipleship.
It is.
And we look at what we receive. And so I think for a lot of members of the church, it's a matter of looking at when you come through the doors, all that you receive that this church does for you. Everything's a gift from God, but to give back where you are given.
Right.
There's a lot, and the way we help one another. Mm-hmm. I think that's an important piece too, as well, within the Pastor's Love Fund and other places that, just so you all know, we are good stewards and we do help others and we serve others. And we do due diligence by, I think, Robin, looking at the contracts and expenses, especially with you coming on board. Mm-hmm. Pastor Robin and I have spent some time with Sally and Marge and some other leaders, really looking at contracts and expenses and really trying to be good stewards
to determine where we might be able to decrease some of our expenses. Bringing Mike on was one of those places where we can have some routine maintenance stuff done in-house versus contracting that out. But we've looked at those things. So we're trying to explore every avenue to ensure that we are utilizing. We recognize when people give to the church, they trust in the leadership to use it wisely, and they're making an investment in the future of the ministry of this church. And so we take that very seriously, and we appreciate your continued support. And as I said, my vision is for us to see that go to a more 50-50 pie graph.
So if they even get
future, if it goes even to 43% from 42.5, I will be excited. But maybe we could do some kind
I know we were talking about this, Robin.
this is not scripted. This part is.
You and I
I don't know. The pastors will have to do some wild and crazy thing when it gets to 50%.
Yes.
You might suggest some things in the chat, and
I think we can do
something fun.
Yeah, we'll do something fun if we can
they could pie us in the face if the pie becomes equal or something. So
ooh, coconut cream pie. Now I'm thinking of pies.
So anyway, that's my vision for the future. But we have lots of other things to share too about things that are happening in the future. I'm going to stop sharing this screen here. So,
and I know a lot. Pastor Robin and I know like the realities. A lot of you are just anxious for church to get back to normal, and you all have been amazing souls at just bearing through what we've all had to bear through. And a lot of you have tolerated music that you wouldn't usually want to tolerate. But there's been beauty in being past 18 months, and especially in this last year of really, well, not quite even a year of worshiping together regularly, but last 6 months where we've come together and worshiped in person and virtual together. But I know a lot of you are anxious for things to be back to where they were. And we're not going to say they're going back there, but we invite you. We have put out a survey monkey for how we're trying to look at our vital ministry and our worship going into 2022 and beyond. So looking hopefully into January to begin to have a new way of us worshiping together. That's going to best suit the needs of this congregation. So right as of today, we have had 89 families or individuals take this survey, which is amazing. So thank you. Thank you, congregation. And if you have yet to take the survey and you can't find the link, email Pastor Robin or myself, and we'll be glad to send you off a link to that survey. And we will be in the coming weeks, now that we've given the survey some time, we are going to be meeting with the leadership team to begin to decipher what the results of the survey mean and what it's going to look at. But know that hopefully in the coming year, I don't want to set a date or anything like that, because you never know what's going to happen in this world. But in the near future, we plan to return to 3 styles of worship, with an awakening of traditional and an impact contemporary modern style of worship. But we're yet to know what that is.
We will tell you that it will look different than it has in the past.
But we are going back and going, but we're not going back, but we're moving forward. But I know, and we do thank you all for just your patience with all of that, but it's been beautiful to be together as well.
It has been, it has really been great. It's been helpful for me as the new person in this community to see everyone together. So thank you for your graciousness in that too.
Yeah. But we're also doing some new things. A few weeks ago, we also, about the same time we put that survey out, we put out a questionnaire and kind of some information to people. And we want to continue to do this with new ministry ideas. At the last leadership team meeting, we just were trying to brainstorm, and then we sent out a list in an email of ministry ideas that the leadership team had come up with. And we invited the members of this congregation to let Pastor Robin and myself know if there was a ministry that you saw on that list that you wanted to be a part of, or if there's a new ministry. And from that, we've already had at least 3 or 4 new ministries that have popped up.
Right. That are starting even now.
Yeah.
The new men's group.
Yep.
And
Carson Collins and some guys. Apparently they'll be at my house one night. I don't know. But Carson Collins is going to be leading a men's Bible study and a men's group. Rebecca Chilko, she's actually on here tonight. She's going to be Wednesday night. Leading. We had a lot of conversation about what can this church do? What is a need out there? And the leadership team really came back with people just
need healing.
COVID has done a lot to all of us. There's a lot of grief and a lot of emotions. And so Rebecca Chilko, she's a counselor and an art therapist. So on Wednesday evening, if you want to come and just process and do art, come to the church. And that's going to be once a month. And then another member of our church, a newer member of our church, come January wants to start a Wellness Wednesday group. So we have that happening.
And we're just looking at other healing opportunities, even within our community, to bring healing after COVID. Some ideas that have come up, even a healing garden at Madison Park, maybe a healing group for healthcare workers. A lot of great ideas have been generated. And so many things that we don't even yet know about, that we look forward to happening in the year to come too.
And Gingerbread House is going to be, that event's going to be happening, but a little bit different. And so we're just, this is a time, I think, as a church for us to look back and think, okay, here's the needs of our community. How can we as a church meet the needs of the community within our church, as well as our greater community? And we get to reimagine church, right? And church can be new and different. And so we really want all of you to think and to pray and discern what it is that we as a church can be doing to best meet all of the needs that are out there to truly represent what the church is meant to be in this community.
And to be bold in our witness.
Be bold. You say it, Robin. That's Robin's
bold.
word.
That's our word. Bold. To be bold in our witness.
So I think we're really looking at exciting times coming.
We are.
It's been getting busier. The children are rehearsing for that pageant. We have, Thanksgiving Stewardship Sunday coming up, and then we're going into Advent.
That's right. Advent starts. So busy times ahead, but it's exciting times for our church. So we invite you, if you have questions for us, to put some things in the chat there. We would be glad to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
And if you're not sure, you can send an email to us, and we're going to put together some follow-up information.
So, right.
It's good to see so many.
It is good to see faces.
I keep looking down. Sorry.
Yeah. See people waving at us and all of that. You're welcome for this. So we felt it was really important to do this for people, for transparency, and just for people to be aware of all the things that are happening. It's impossible to know everything that's happening within the life of the church. Sunday mornings, we can't get up and tell you every little thing that's happening. So thank you for logging on to learn about all the great things that are happening here. If there are, we'll give it another minute if anybody's typing. Sounds good.
Oh, that's a good question, Becky.
Regarding the finances, how does it compare to last year? We are, our giving is down a little bit this year. However, last year was the first 3 months of last year, calendar year, was normal pre-COVID. And we also, our expenses have gone down this year because of COVID related things as well. So in all told, things are about the same.
And we're faring, when we talk to other pastors in other congregations, we really are faring
quite well, actually.
Yes. We are we have weathered the storm beautifully, Lakewood United Methodist Church.
Yes.
And just trying to continue to be good stewards.
Yes.
But Becky, it's always,
that's always a concern, certainly. And in the midst of these particular times, it is a concern. But the sky isn't falling.
No, it's not
in
falling,
any way.
but we can always do better.
We can always do better. Yeah. Do we have a timetable when masks will be removed from service? We do not at this time. Our COVID task force has not made any decisions. We want to continue to follow the guidelines. CDC still recommends that indoors, that people, regardless of their vaccination status, be masked. Our COVID numbers in our
well, and I think now that the children are just now getting vaccines,
we may see,
but we're also entering the high flu. And on the news this morning, they were talking about a fifth COVID. Becky, the nurses would know better, but they were talking about a fifth thing. So I think we really want, in my perspective, and I think Robin's perspective, is let's get through these holidays.
Right. We want to ensure safety of individuals. So Becky says some clinical partners are no longer even allowing cloth masks, that they have to be surgical or such.
Yeah. And if that comes the case, then we'll provide those when you come in the door.
Right.
I mean, I think that's,
right.
For the funeral we had this week, we made sure, and every Sunday there's always mask.
Peggy says, she's reporting as one who met with Steve Bailey with Staff Parish, that aside from one other West Side church, we have the most attendance at this time. So that's
good.
That's good.
Hey, thanks for sharing that, Peggy.
And how are our membership numbers comparing to the past year or two? Numbers are, we've had some deaths and we didn't have a confirmation class to bring new young folks in.
Last, the Phillips were on here, and Rebecca, and they were the last membership class. So it's been 2 years since we've had a membership class, because we didn't really do that during COVID. And we've had deaths.
That's on our docket as well.
Yeah. So our membership numbers, and we, as always, give thanks to Julia, our staff, as keeping due diligence on it, but we haven't lost. Like, there's not been an exodus of people during COVID or anything. It's just now up to us, as all of us, to just continue to reach out to people who maybe we haven't seen.
Right. So, Rocky River is beating us. Are they the other church, Peggy?
They already had a larger membership than us anyhow, but hey, that's a competition. Let's go.
Our continued food donations needed for the outdoor food pantry cupboard. Yes, they are. I see people as I look out my office window, out the front door, see people utilizing that all the time.
As I was pulling in tonight, there was a gentleman in front of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's become a very popular, it's beautiful to actually watch people in the community who are not even affiliated with our church stopping and filling the cupboard.
Yes, people do come by with boxes of stuff and fill it up, and then you see somebody else come along and take things out of it. So it is it could probably be bigger.
Yeah, I was thinking that the other day. I'm like, maybe we need to make it bigger.
Right. Yes. So, well, we thank you. Looks like we haven't seen any additional questions pop up there.
Paul was the last one.
I'm sorry?
Paul was the last one.
Paula was the last question on there. So we thank you all for your time this evening, for taking the time out to hear more about the ministries. Well, that brings up the Pastor's Love Fund. Yes, that does. We utilize funds from the Pastor's Love Fund to help. We have become aware of people.
It always can be replenished, Becky.
Yes. But we do use that to help feed people.
Special occasions have come up. We've paid for something, but can I share a beautiful story?
Of course.
Okay. So a few years ago, we did the warming center, and we're all set up with the city, I think, to do that this winter if needed. But there was a homeless gentleman who lived in a van, whose van broke down. And so we gave him a loan from our love fund, and he this year paid it back in full and some. Comes to community meals and stuff, and has now moved to the west side. So we'll be seeing him more, and now has a home. And it's just a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story that, we loaned him money with no expectation of him to repay the church back. And he repaid the church back and some from that love fund. And so just the ways that you'll learn now that the ways that we get to use this to help others. And there's also been challenges with the love fund, and I've done some silly things. So,
to get people to contribute to this.
So
we're going to work on the 50-50 pie graph first.
Right. Let's work on that. But okay. We can work on that love fund getting filled as well.
Yes. So, well, we appreciate that. And Pastor Laura is going to pray us.
Oh, that's right. I get to pray us out.
Yeah. I prayed us in, you pray us out.
We're a good team.
We are a good team.
All right. Let us pray. Oh, gracious God. We just give you thanks for this wonderful church. Give you thanks for this church that you have called Pastor Robin and I to lead, and the members and all those who gather with us. We give you thanks for their stewardship, their time, their love, their commitment. And we also pray for those who have yet to come to know us, and more importantly, come to know Christ. Help continue to use us to be your hands and feet, so that we can continue to make an impact not on this community, but on the greater world. Give us peace and quiet and calm and security and safety and love this evening, oh God. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
And those who missed, we'll see them tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Tomorrow at 10 o'clock. If you loved it, you can come back again. Thanks.